Hello and welcome back, fellow space engineers. Today we have an interesting one because we are going to build a better looking and epic looking reactor core for our asteroid station. Alright, so today I'm going to try something a little bit different as I'm making the heart of the asteroid station because I got tired of just the plain old stationary reactors. We're going to try to build something a little bit more epic in terms of showcasing the core. So I was thinking something along the lines of this. So let's get building. All right, so as you saw in the time lapse, we built a reactor core for our asteroid station. Of course, it's not completed just yet, as we had to hunt for some silver to produce some reactor components, which I believe we finally have all that we need. All right, we're going to plug in the last few reactor components into our reactor. Like so. Of course, it's not powered up because we didn't put any uranium in there, but we can take out these under construction LCDs or pictures because we no longer need them. We could also add caps or panels on here. I think panels would probably do better. And there we go. So we got little panels on here, so we could open in little doors and throw in some uranium if we need to. But eventually, this thing will be piped in through the advanced rotors. So there's some on the roof and some on the first floor. So we can always create some piping and connect the uranium into a cargo system later down the line. But for now, if we do need power, we'll stick it up right in the middle. All right, so the basis of this build is basically having these beams kind of surrounding the reactor and circling around it. Right now, it's setting at 1 speed and 2 speed. I can increase the speed to make it look a little bit faster, but it should be okay. I find it a little bit odd. I mean, it's basically, if you move far away, it looks like a sphere. But when you get close to it, it just looks really, really weird. It's like a bit of a odd egg shape. Not even an egg shape, but something weird in terms of the view of it. But it looks great from a distance for whatever reasons, like this view here. All right, so I threw in a little bit of uranium inside the reactor, so that's why it's turning green. I feel like it could put a little bit more design to it, but for now, this is the heart of the asteroid station. I did put in a bit of a event controller here, which basically is going to tell some of the lights surrounding it to turn green when it's filled above 10 uranium and red when it's under 10 uranium. So for some reason, the event control doesn't act that great sometimes. But basically, once I set this up correctly... Ooh, looks like sometimes I have to reset the threshold all the way to 0 to make this really work. So it's roughly, I believe, 0.0063 to indicate how much is in the reactor. So if we put like 11 or more, it should turn green. I'll toss 11 in there, and you see here it turns green. But it's going to quickly turn back to red once it gets underneath 10. Right there. So it looks like close to 9 actually turned red. And that is done through all the corner lights that are surrounding it on the sides of the beams and those corners. I feel like I might change these corners to these blocks here. Not sure how that's going to look. Let's see. Let's take an example here if we can. So if we threw in a beam block like that, would it make it look a little bit better? Not necessarily. How's that looking? It kind of looks like they should be out a little bit more by a block or so. Maybe I'll fix that later down the line. But somewhat of a sphere shape was what I was going for. And there are these pipes that I should be using as well. So I could probably utilize these, maybe even down here, covering up some of these batteries. Potentially. We could even use them on the reactor itself, but not the biggest fan of them because they don't really have a curved block. They have this L-shaped block, but that's not going to help us in any way possible. So we could reserve it for the look of it piping into it. And the color scheme is not the greatest. Well, we have to find something that works well. But yeah, this was the pride and joy of today's episode. Rotating reactor core just to make things look a little bit better than having it standing still. And of course, we're going to build the platforms around it, a room around it. So it won't be exposed like it is now, which is really dangerous because if a ship comes by, it is probably and likely going to target it. And we're going to lose a ton of reactor components because it takes 2,000 just to make one of these. We did go out and mine a good number of silver and gold though, which we used the old drilling rig here that we took to mine out this whole entire asteroid, repurposed it into a resource gathering drill ship. So I changed the front. I added one more layer of drills on top. Put an ore detector on there, some floodlights, a little bit of design, some event controllers and such, and a large cargo container in the back. All right, so the event controllers, I have two, one on the left, one on the right. One on the left tells us how much we have in our cargo containers, if it's above a certain amount. So basically, if it is equal or greater than 50% of the large cargo container in the back is filled, we'll see this symbol right in front of us. So when we're drilling forward in a first-person view, we'll notice that we're filled up this way. In our right event controller, it is to tell us if we have less than 20% left in our hydrogen tanks. So we have the two small hydrogen tanks that has been on the ship already, but the floodlights will turn red when that occurs. And also a little bit of a tips and tricks type of thing, which I should have done for my multi-tool with the grinder and the welder ship. It's basically add a remote control and maybe a camera. So here, of course, this drill ship is more forward based like this. But if we want to park the connector in the rear, we have a remote and action bar where we hit control. We're now in the remote control block. Then we can just press forward to park it instead of going backwards. And to make it even further, we have the camera. So we can easily park our ship here without breaking anything or with ease. So basically, once we're ready to park in, all you're going to do, if you set up as key 1 to control your remote control and your camera as 1 in your remote control action bars, you just press 1 and you're right there. So we can easily back up this way without having to deal with slowly backing up in a third-person view and then get connected. Bit of a bonus, if anything. But yeah, other than that, we moved our gravity collector ship thingy here, which is the original ship that I stole and survived on, and attached the gravity collector here. I put it in front of our assembly bay system here, so then that way, if it's on, we can easily collect the steel plates, interior turrets, construction components, and small steel tubes. But of course, the biggest update is all this welded up asteroid station, from the flooring to the roof. And of course, a little bit of the pillars as well. So what I try to do here is put the ceiling up and then one layer above it or below it, depending. So it's just kind of two, just to cover up the rock. So it's kind of assimilated to the asteroid. So, but there's still a little bit of these kind of holes here. But I didn't want any of the asteroids sticking out, so that's why it looks like this. It has a little bit of steps and everything like that. We will eventually maybe flatten some areas out because we're going to need it for docking. Actually, this is a little bit messed up here. So this would have been one layer here, another layer here, just to cover these asteroids. So that's kind of the way I've been trying to assimilate some of this. But looks like I missed that part, but everything else should be fairly done. And as you can see, this is our original hole right here. As I was flying back from drilling out some gold and silver, I realized we just drilled out one of the ugliest asteroids possible to make an asteroid station. But I guess we can still utilize it. It's not that bad. It's just very rectangular or almost like a square. It's fine. We'll just make it look nice and dress it up by assimilating it. But yeah, we still got a lot to go. So more rooms, a nice little docking area in the front, because this is technically going to be a nice little shipyard. So I am contemplating whether I keep most of the front of the asteroid all around as docking spots, or do I just kind of build a nice docking spot in one central location. Would be nice to surround it, but that'll be a little bit too much. And don't forget, I'm going to reserve this for a nice little view section so we can see planet Earth and the moon and when the sun comes out to play. But yeah, other than that, we shoved some batteries down here. And of course, we took 3 of the 4 original batteries that we placed in this area and put it under here. So this is going to be basically our battery station underneath for the time being. These may stay here permanently, but if we do build a battery room, we'll build some more, if anything. So one quick thing also, this whole station, as I mentioned in the last episode, the bottom piece here, or all the light armor blocks currently, is slightly above the asteroid. But I'm going to build basically where these interior walls are. Everything that's currently on the floor will be probably carved out where I need to for piping and plumbing. So as you see here, there's an advanced rotor here that goes into conveyor junction. Once I'm ready to pipe it in, I'm just gonna kind of break down all this here and then connect it from here. Alright, so after all that, we did also got bored and stole a ship here. So this is actually the medical shuttle that we missed out on in a few episodes ago. So once I saw it pop up, I was like, I might as well go ahead and grab it. So the medical ship here, or medical shuttle, and kind of what I wanted to do once I have my asteroid station a little bit more established, but might as well start working on grabbing some of these cargo ships anyways, is kind of grab them, refurb them, and turn them to whatever I need them to be. So I'm gonna use this basically as my everyday driver now. So we can use that to collect like unknown signals, other cargo ships, go some maydays, and things like that. Of course, we're gonna bring some drones with us too. And why we're doing that is because our original ship that we stole, I don't remember the name of it, is being utilized for the gravity collector anyway. So we're gonna let that sit. I'm gonna use the medical shuttle. We did change it up slightly, as you can see here. Of course, there was no artillery cannon there, but I placed that for myself so I can manually shoot. And one of the thrusters would have been on that side, but I changed it up to throw in another thruster on here. So not very symmetrical, but it still looks pretty decent. I added a whole bunch of turrets as well. So you have a GAT down up there, 2 interior turrets. I added a whole bunch of turrets on here as well. So you'll see a GAT turret on top, interior turrets on the outside up and down on both sides, a total of 4. An assault cannon right down on the bottom. And of course, as I mentioned before, the artillery cannon here. So going inside of it, I did refurb and changed it up a little bit. Some of the aspects has been kept the same. One thing I did change is this O2 H2 generator. It originally had an oxygen tank, but I throw in an O2 H2 generator just for the oxygen temporarily if I ever need it. Here's a cargo terminal, the half one, so we can throw in the artillery shells in here, which I forgot to do. So I'll throw in about 30 of them there, so if I ever have to shoot it, I'll shoot it. We have a terminal down here, and that's for the assault cannon underneath it. We added 2 more batteries, so total 3 batteries of survival kit. So if we need to respawn, we'll respawn here on the ship itself. And of course, upstairs is our helm, our bridge helm. We got some like the button ones too for some reason. We could remove that and turn them to regular ones. It's a really nice ship too, so that's why I kind of want to keep it and change it up a little bit, so I can use it as my daily driver. So now the asteroid station's got the ultimate power upgrade with this rotating design. Alright, so up next is probably either the docking station or I'm going to start working on some rooms. Feel free to let me know in the comments down below what rooms I should be adding. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.